Hi, I'm Roy Beyer, Executive Director of A Better Calgary, and thanks for taking the time to view this video. And we've got something really important to share with you. We're less than 10 weeks away from election time here in Calgary, and I think we all know we need some big changes in our city, and for Calgary's sake, we need to find the motivation and commitment to fix what is broken at City Hall. We need all of us working together. And now the good news is, for the first time in over 20 years, we have a real opportunity to elect a Conservative majority at City Hall. And that's within reach. But of course, like anything else, we need to seize the opportunity. And I want to encourage you, it's going to be worth the effort to bring about the change at City Hall that is necessary. But I also want to address a problem that we've had on the right. Because this is the big question people have when they hear about Calgary is, how is it possible that a city like Calgary with such deep conservative roots has ended up governed by the radical left over the past 2 decades, amongst the most radical leftist city hall in the entire country? And the answer, of course, is discipline, not on our part, by the way, on the part of the left. The left has been smart enough and united enough to run just one candidate per ward and one candidate for mayor. And on the other hand, we as Conservatives, we repeatedly do the same thing, running multiple good candidates against each other. And of course, what we've seen specifically in the last election is the union bosses, the public sector union bosses, got very involved with both selecting those candidates in each ward and putting millions of dollars. They're acting kind of like a political party, but very top down. And of course, we need to find a way to address this problem. Daniel Smith introduced legislation just over a year ago to help us address this problem. And that's to help us, but we need to help ourselves as Conservatives, right? So the idea is, whereas the radical left is being organized by public sector unions, we need to have the ability to do the same thing. She introduced legislation for a municipal political party system for Calgary and Edmonton. This is not crazy radical new stuff. It's been going on for decades in Quebec as well as in BC. We're just finally have the chance to do the same thing here in Alberta, and through an open democratic process under the umbrella of kind of the conservative center-right Conservatives, we will narrow the field from many good candidates running against each other, and the membership will vote to narrow the field to one member. That was the intent of the legislation. And of course, we see that intent. It's obvious and common sense that we would work together to compete against the left to finally get the kind of government in Calgary that we should be having as a conservative city. When I say conservative city, remember in the last federal election, over 56% of Calgarians voted Conservative. So we do have those conservative roots. Now, Better Calgary from day one embraced this idea of a political party. A group of about 30 of us got together, represented a wide spectrum of Conservatives, from a centrist to more conservative. And we, as citizen volunteers, none of us having political ambition, just as citizen volunteers, put this vehicle together to bring Conservatives together under this idea of an open nomination process, membership driven. And we didn't mind if somebody else came up with better ideas, as long as it was democratic. It's not about egos, it's about winning for the city of Calgary. But as seems always with us Conservatives, we never do it the easy way. So we do have a small group, kind of a political insiders, that organized something called the Community's First Party. But it's not a party. It's Sonia Sharp's mayoral candidacy. She selected herself to be the candidate for mayor, and then is handpicking council candidates. There's no nomination process, no membership, no democratic, very top-down, not what you would expect from Conservatives. And so this, of course, was disappointing because, again, there's the threat of splitting the right. The ABC party, having the nomination process, we got going first, and now the Community's First with a different sort of plan. But, for Calgary's sake, we decided, we're going to do our best to at least still cooperate. We proposed a plan by which we'd avoid as much as possible running good candidates against each other. In fact, there was an agreement in place where there were two specific wards that Communities First would not be running against a Better Calgary candidates, and we reciprocated the same thing. But sadly, that promise was broken, and the initial response for us was, I guess we'll go ahead and run in every ward with a Better Calgary Party candidates. But, being a political party where our membership has a voice is a big advantage. Our membership reached out to us and said, please, let's not overreact. Let's not retaliate. Let's stay focused on what's best for Calgary. And so, again, we listened, and we've adjusted our strategy. And kind of here's what it looks like. There's a kind of a 4-piece part of this plan that I want to share with you. First of all, we will only run candidates in wards where we have strong contenders with a real path to victory. And right now, we have to have 6, by the way, by law, to be a political party. But we're looking at about 7 or 8 wards where we, a Better Calgary Party, will be running candidates, all of them excellent, rock-solid, conservative people. And where there are principled conservatives already running and positioned to win, even if they're not under our banner, we will not run a candidate. So that's number 1. Number 2, we will be revisiting the bypass votes. Bypass votes had an understanding, as I said, certain commitments that were now broken. And so we are revisiting, but strategically. Okay, so for example, in Ward 9, the Communities First nominated a card-carrying NDPer, a Nenshi supporter, to be their candidate in Ward 9. Now that tells me that Communities First, you can't count on them as having center-right candidates just because they're running under the banner of Communities First. So we are going to be revisiting 1 or 2 of those bypass votes. This is why, bottom line is, Calgarians deserve at least 1 true conservative in every ward. So that's something that's very important to us. Third, we will not run a mayoral candidate. The last thing this election needs is more vote splitting at the top of the ticket. There's kind of top 5 contenders for mayor right now based on the polling. Certainly a couple, 2, 3 of them are absolutely out of the question from a conservative perspective. So we will endorse the candidate most aligned with our principles. That, I believe, is important for us to share with our membership who we believe is the right candidate for mayor and get behind that individual, because the last thing we need is Mayor Gondak winning again, and that's very possible unless we rally behind a single candidate. And finally, we have a serious campaign. I'm not going to get into the detail of it, but we've retained a campaign manager with a lot of experience. We have a very sophisticated strategy and systems that we're using to get the message out, including social media. Of course, all of that costs money, but we're serious about winning in as many of those 8 wards as possible. And, if we can win in all 8, great. But the combination of ABC as well as other conservatives, we believe it's within reach because Better Calgary Party has decided not to run in every ward, right? So we're going to put a serious effort together. And as far as the candidates for a Better Calgary Party, what you can expect, first and foremost, they are committed to put Calgarians first. Ahead of any special interest group, with slates, there's usually a special interest. The public sector union is an obvious one. But we want, first and foremost, our candidates to listen and respect to the priorities and values of their constituents. And of course, there are also conservatives, I guess you just say common sense in terms of how they think, safer streets and public transit, reverse blanket rezoning, focus on core services, fixing infrastructure. We need to make sure this water main disaster never repeats itself, and respect for taxpayer dollars. Stop wasteful spending. So you're going to hear the detail of our policies from, as collectively from the Better Calgary Party candidates, but individually also you're going to hear specifics from those candidates based on what they're hearing from their own constituents. This is a historic opportunity. And if we get this right, we can elect conservative leadership to City Hall for the first time in a generation. But we can't do this alone. To run a serious campaign, we need serious resources, volunteer, as well as donations, so time and treasure. To do a serious campaign, we need hundreds of volunteers, at least 50 volunteers for each of our 8 candidates. And so somewhere near where you live, there's a rock solid, a Better Calgary Party candidate running for council that you can help with, volunteer and get involved with their campaign. And, of course, this is the time to step up, not 3 months from now after the election. Now is the time to donate as well financially, whether it's a few dollars, 50 or 100 or 500. We need your support, and every dollar helps to get our message to Calgarians. And of course, for those who have capacity to donate $5,000, that's the max for individual donation, and as well $5,000 for every corporate entity. So that's new legislation, and we want to encourage those who have capacity to donate in a big way to reach out to us, because we will share with you the detail of our campaign strategy. We need the financial support and are asking you to help us out. Of course, you can go to the website at bettercalgaryparty.ca. Very soon, there's going to be a brand new website up, our campaign website. We're excited to be able to share that with you. As far as donating, you can also do it by e-transfer. That way the bank doesn't get a cut. That's to donate at a bettercalgaryparty.ca. Again, donate at bettercalgaryparty.ca. So this is our moment. Let's not look back at the election on October 21 and say, if only we would have done just a bit more. Let's get organized. Let's make that commitment, get behind our candidates. Again, for a Better Calgary, I'm Roy Beyer. Thank you for watching, and thank you for standing with us and with our candidates. God bless.